Hello, so let's start chapter number 4, the forces. So we discussed about the concept of motion in the previous lecture. It was called kinematics, which in which we did not discuss about the cause of motion. But now we are starting with dynamics, because in this chapter we will be discussing about the cause of motion. So in this particular chapter we will discuss about the forces. Force is the cause behind any kind of motion. So let's start with the introductory part. So obviously the first question is, what is a force? So at this moment you might know that force can be a push or a pull. Force can be described as a push or a pull. Push or a pull on a body, on an object. But it is not that great a definition. So you will understand in the next lecture, chapter 5, that force is the quantity which changes the velocity or which accelerates any object. So force accelerates any object or changes the velocity of any object. Okay, so the force, for now let's say force is a push or a pull on a body. The SI unit of force is Newton. So the SI unit of force is Newton, in honor of Isaac Newton. It is represented by capital N. The CGS unit is dyne. Okay, CGS unit of force is dyne, which is equal to 10 to the power minus 5 Newton, or 1 Newton is equal to 10 to the power 5 dynes. So this is a CGS unit. Now force is an interaction. What is a force? Force is an interaction between two bodies. It is necessary, okay, it is necessary that there is at least two bodies involved. You cannot have only one object and there is force. Force is the interaction between two objects. So let's say there is this object A and there is this object B. So let's say if object B is applying some force on A, and then object A is applying some force on B. So then in that case we can say that the bodies are interacting and they are applying force on each other. Okay, so force is a interaction between two bodies. Again, it is also a vector quantity, okay, because magnitude and direction both are important in this case. So force is a push or a pull, SI unit is Newton, it is the interaction between two bodies, and it is a vector quantity. That is, we have magnitude as well as direction. Now interestingly, there are only 4 types of fundamental forces present in the universe. So what does this mean? This means that in the universe there are only these 4 types of forces. You can describe any force using these 4 types of forces. Whatever you whatever you see around you, whatever type of force, it will be one of these 4 forces. So what are the 4 forces, fundamental forces? First is the gravitational force. It is quite famous, gravitational force. Second one is the electromagnetic force. Electromagnetic force. Third one is the strong nuclear force, and the fourth one is the weak nuclear force. These 2 forces are combinedly called nuclear forces as well. Why? We will discuss in a while. So there are only 4 types of forces in the universe. Any force can be described in terms of these 4 forces. For example, friction. Friction is an electromagnetic force, because what happens when we have 2 surfaces and they are moving with respect to one another, then there is some bonding between the layers because of electron attraction and repulsion, and that force is electromagnetic force. We will discuss about all these things in a moment. So let's start with the first force, that is the gravitational force. So you must have studied about gravitational force in class 9, so you might be familiar with a few concepts. First of all, what is a gravitational force? So let's say we have two objects, object A, object B, and they have some mass. Okay, the mass of object A is ma, mass of object B is mb, and they are separated. Their centers are separated by a distance r. So the force of gravity is described to be F equal to G ma mb upon r square. Okay, this was found by Isaac Newton. So the force of gravity is a force which acts between two objects having mass. So first of all, what is gravitational force? It is a force of attraction. Okay, attractive force between two objects having mass. So if two objects have mass, they will attract each other, and that force is called a gravitational force. The formula is F equal to G m1 m2 or ma mb upon r square, distance square. The body needs to be the body needs to have some mass, otherwise the gravity cannot act. So mass is the important thing that generates the gravitational force. So the more the mass, more will be the gravitational force on the objects. So gravitational force is due to what? The gravitational force is due to the mass of the body. It is only attractive in nature, remember. Now let's say what is the electromagnetic force. So electromagnetic force is the force which is due to charged particles. Okay, it is due to charges. So let's say we have two charges. Okay, let's say charge A, charge B, Qa and Qb, and the distance between the centers is r. So one of the electromagnetic forces, that is the electrostatic force, is represented like this: K Qa Qb by r square, quite similar to gravitational force. So this force, the important thing is, this force can be attractive or repulsive. So attractive or repulsive force between charged particles is called the electromagnetic force. So this is due to charge. Gravity is due to mass and electromagnetic force is due to charge. So electromagnetic force include two forces. One is the electric force and another is the magnetic force. So these two forces make up the electromagnetic force. Magnetic force is also due to the motion of charges. Okay, this is let's say this is the electric or electrostatic force. And what about the magnetic force? So magnetic force is due to, the magnetic force arise when the charges are moving. So it is due to the motion of charges. So electromagnetic force is due to the motion of charge or because of the presence of charge, and it is attractive, or it can be attractive or it can be repulsive. Now important thing is, most of the day-to-day forces are electromagnetic in nature. For example, as I told you, friction. Okay, so friction is an electromagnetic force. How? Because whenever we have two surfaces, so there are these electrons in the atoms of these layers, and those electrons interact with each other, and because of that there is this force which do not allow them to move easily. So friction is due to electromagnetic force. Another example is the normal force. Okay, normal force. What is the normal force or the reaction force? So whenever you are sitting on something, let's say there is one object which is sitting on a table. So let's say one object is sitting on this table. Now on this object there is one force, that is gravity, which is acting downward. So if there was only this force, then the object would have fallen down, but because it is stationary, that means there must be some force which is acting upward as well, and that force is called the normal or reaction force. Now what is the reason behind this normal force? So again the reason is the electromagnetic force. Similar concept, the surface of box and the surface of table, they are consisting of atoms, and atoms have electrons in the outermost shell, and because of that there is this force of repulsion between the layers of the box and the table. So normal force is also the electromagnetic force. What about the string force? Okay, tension in the string. Okay, tension in the string. So string also is applying some tension because of the electromagnetic force. So let's say there is one big string, one force is acting like this, one is like this. So what is not allowing this string to break? The bonding of the atoms and molecules present in this string. They are attracting each other, and because of that we are applying forces, but still the string is not breaking. Obviously after a certain time interval, if the forces are huge, then the string will break, but in usual cases why does this string not break, or why is this tension force? This is because of the, again, electromagnetic force, the electromagnetic interaction of the atoms and molecules. Similarly for a spring, okay, in spring also the force is electromagnetic in nature. So the usual forces in our day to day life are electromagnetic in nature. Now the last two forces are the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force. You might not have heard about them because gravity is a long range force. Okay, gravity is a long range force, that is, its effects can be felt at very large distances. For example, sun attracts earth, and also the electromagnetic force is a long range force. Okay, this is also a long range force. Again, the effects of electromagnetic force can be felt at a very large distances. So both these forces are long distance forces, but the strong and weak nuclear forces are short range forces, that is, their effects are only felt in a certain region. Okay, they are short range forces, their effect is only felt in a certain region. So first, what is the strong force and what is the weak force? Strong force and the weak force. So strong nuclear force is the force which is the reason behind the stability of the atom. So let me ask you one question. So you must have heard that in atom there are electrons and there are protons. So do you know that in the nucleus there are a lot of protons, electrons are in the orbits. Okay, electrons are in the orbits, they are in the orbits, but the protons are in the nucleus. Now we know that the same charges repel each other. Okay, same charges repel each other, positive will repel each other. So the nucleus must not be stable. Nucleus must not be stable. Okay, and the protons must fly apart because of the repulsion. But there is this force called strong nuclear force. So the strong nuclear force holds the nuclear together, holds the protons together, because of which the nucleus or the protons do not move apart. So this is the force which acts between protons and neutrons, and neutrons and neutrons. So there is one force in nature which acts between two protons, two neutrons, or even between one proton and one neutron, and that force is called the strong nuclear force, and that force holds the atom or the nucleus together. Otherwise the protons would have flown apart because of the repulsion. So strong nuclear force holds the protons together, and also the protons are made up of some smaller particles. Protons and neutrons are made up of quarks. Okay, made up of quarks. So protons and neutrons are also made up of quarks. So strong nuclear force also holds the quarks together, holds the quarks together and make protons and neutrons. Make protons and neutrons. So this strong nuclear force is the force which helps the protons to stay together, and also the protons and neutrons are made up of small particles called quarks. So the quarks are held together by the strong force. So strong force helps the quark together to make proton, and then also it helps the protons together to make the nucleus. The strong force is very strong in nature, therefore the name. Now what about the weak nuclear force? The weak nuclear force is the force which is responsible for the radioactive decay. You might not have heard about it. Responsible for the radioactive decay. So what is radioactive decay? When we have huge atoms, okay, or huge nucleus, big nucleus, then they become very unstable and they break into smaller nucleus. So that in that process some alpha, beta and gamma rays are emitted so that the atom becomes stable. So that alpha, beta and gamma rays or the radioactivity happens because of the weak nuclear force. The neutron can neutron can change into other particles. Okay, neutron can change into proton or electrons, etc., and protons can change into neutrons or positrons, etc. So it happens because of the weak nuclear force. So weak nuclear force is the reason behind radioactive decay or the decay of nucleus, or splitting of nucleus into smaller nuclei. Weak nuclear forces and the strong nuclear forces both are very short range forces. They only act in the boundary of nucleus. Okay, they only act in the boundary of nucleus. That is very small region. They do not have much influence outside the boundary of a nucleus, and because of that we do not usually discuss or see these forces in day to day life, because they are long range forces. So this is the summary of the types of forces. These are the four fundamental forces. All the forces around you are one of these four forces. Usually most of the forces are electromagnetic in nature. Now the classical, we are studying about classical physics here. So the classical physics is not whatever we will be studying in 11th and 12th class is mostly it is the classical physics. So the classical physics is not applicable in every situation. So one thing you need to keep in mind is that we are studying classical physics, and classical physics is applicable in one situation, or I can say classical physics is not applicable in two situations. So one is the situation when the speed is very high, speeds are close to the speed of light, that is c, 3 into 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second, or the size is very small, that is atomic scale. So speeds are large, close to c, and the sizes are very small, atomic scale. So classical physics is not applicable in these scenarios properly. Okay, not applicable in these two scenarios. We need to modify classical physics. So when we discuss about higher speed, large speeds, then this particular branch is called relativity, special theory of relativity. And when we are discussing about small objects, okay, when we are discussing or we are concerned about the small objects, then we say we are discussing about quantum physics or quantum mechanics. So classical physics is not always applicable. When is it not applicable? When the speeds are very large, close to the speed of light, and when the sizes are very small, like the atomic scales. So we need different theories, okay. Classical physics is only an approximation in those realms. So in the case where the speeds are large, we use special theory of relativity, and when the objects are small, we use quantum physics. So in day to day life, classical physics is mostly useful because the classical concepts are quite easy, and in day to day life the objects are quite big as opposed to the size of an atom, and the velocities are quite less than the velocity of light. So because of that, in day to day life, classical physics is more than sufficient in day to day experiences. Classical physics is more than sufficient to be used properly. So because of that, we are studying about classical physics. Even if you want to, launch a rocket, you will launch a rocket using classical physics, because the speeds are not that high and the object is also quite big. So from the next lecture, we'll start the Newton's laws of motion.